So, hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra K, and I am sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat, also known as the IE Informer, and it is his birthday, a grand 75 years old. Doesn't he look wonderful? Yeah, I think so too. So, anyway, you guys see at the bottom of the screen, I have a cash app for Donovan. If you guys would please bless our dear brother as he sits here with us every Sunday, Tuesday, and now twice on Tuesdays to help bring us his wealth of knowledge. And so I'll be a great appreciation for Donovan. Anyway, it is the Demetra K Show, where we promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we are great people, but we can always strive to do better. Uh, Today is our second time here. The first time you guys saw us was the podcast, which was not live. But we decided we'll go live on Tuesday evenings just to kind of try it out, because we've had a lot of people say, y'all need to go live on Tuesdays. So we decided to do both. We're going to see how this pans out. Now, I don't think we'll be here more than an hour. That's the plan anyway. So, of course, we're going to talk about New York City Black leadership, slow walking justice for Jordan Neely. And, of course, I'll get into all of that in just a few. Hello, Brother Reggie Wilbur. What's going on with you? Yeah, Donovan and I twice a week. And of course, we're here with Wealth Wednesdays with Walter on Wednesday. So for me, that's what, 4 days? Is it three? It's 3 days live. Is it? Yeah, 3 days live. So Donovan, what say you on your birthday?
Well, I want to say thank you guys for wishing me a very happy birthday. Again, I'm just blessed to be here at 53 years old. Again, praise God. I mean, I'm doing what I need to do to stick around here a little bit. I love Jesus, but I'm not in a rush to meet him. Hey, but I want to make a quick correction. This is not the Demetra K Show. This is the Demetra K podcast. So you guys, on Tuesday, this is the live podcast. So welcome to the podcast. We got to get used to doing that. We're going to have a really great subject today. And I hope you guys can come in and give us a little bit of your knowledge, because you are the third co-host, and we want to hear what you guys got to say on this particular topic. So again, this is going to be very interesting. I think this is a great format. We're trying it out. We're doing most of the shows on Tuesday, which is kind of great for both of us. That way we don't have to really change our schedule, so we could have some lives. And we just want to get the information out for you guys, because we're doing this because you guys have asked us to do this. So please, if you feel the need, if you want to, please donate. But I'll tell you one thing you can do for me for my birthday. It isn't about the Cash App, but if you could hit that like, share, and subscribe button, that would do more for me and my birthday than any amount of money you could put out there. Unless you got Erykah Badu's number, you can always give me that. However, let's get into this. I think it's a very important topic, because Demetra, if you've been listening to the YouTube sphere and the political sphere, the Democrats are having some serious problems with Black people and getting them on board with the Joe Biden gravy train and the immigrants and stuff. Just before we came on here, I just saw your video in regards to what was going on in Chicago and how they telling the immigrants, we don't want them here. Why do you got to dump them off here? So I thought that was really great. The Democrats are having really big pushback. And I want to say thank you, because years ago, we were talking about this and we were telling people, and they thought we were absolutely crazy. But now the chickens have come home to roost. So let's get into it.
So absolutely. Hello, King of Sorrows. Hope you're having a great day. Jan Michael, what's going on with you as well? Yes, happy birthday to Donovan. Yes, California did approve $1.2 million in reparations for Californians. So that needs to go to, I guess, a final vote June 30th. As to if we, us Californians, gonna get, a piece of the pie. We're gonna see, right? I got plans for mine.
And real quick, remember, the assembly in California is run by Democrats. If we don't get it, that isn't because the Republicans, all the Republicans can vote against it, and everything is passed. Republicans have no power in California. If we don't get our reparations, that is all Democrats. You guys, I want you to remember that. That will show you that the Democrats is not for Black people. They are running a game on us. So if we don't get those reparations, since we are so-called Democrats, that's going to say a lot.
Yes, indeed. Brother Jonell, how are you doing? Yes, all praises is due to Allah. Yes, says happy birthday to Donovan. And Complex Blackness, how are you doing? 1.2 million per California Black resident. So it's about, they're saying that the total price tag is about 800 billion, but it looks like it should be about 1.2 million per resident. Also like to say, big giant, happy 90th anniversary to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He is doing well and he is looking amazing at 90. He is completely goals in every way, shape, and form. So, yes, once again, a happy anniversary to the minister. All right. So, as you guys may or may not know, I've been hearing a lot about in New York City. A Black man by the name of Jordan Neely, who was 30 years old. I said he was also homeless, was also known to be what they call a street performer, or he would also perform on the A train, is what they said, the subway system in New York City. And he was a Michael Jackson impersonator, which is why I have him on the thumbnail dressed as Michael Jackson. So quite a few people knew him around there. Well, unfortunately, and I'm not showing any videos or pictures because, YouTube, you be tripping. So the thumbnail is as good as it's going to get. But on May 1st at 2:30 in the afternoon, he got onto the F train, is what they said. And they said he was erratic. And some people say he was yelling aggressively, right? This is what they're saying. And some of the things he was saying was that he was hungry, he was thirsty, and he didn't want to be here, right? Like he felt like he was going to die. And so it's unclear as to how Daniel Penny, the white guy, the ex-Marine 24-year-old, got him into the chokehold. Now, that chokehold lasted for 15 minutes. They took him, Jordan, to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. But of course, Daniel was saying, oh, well, he felt threatened. Again, he was yelling aggressively and that kind of stuff, which I don't know if yelling aggressively would warrant that. But needless to say, he was arrested and they said he was quickly released. And so that happened last Monday. And there's still been no arrest. Now we bring Black leadership into this because you have a Black mayor, Eric Adams, and then you have a Black DA, Alvin Bragg, right? And, a whole host of other people, I would imagine. But New York is predominantly Democrat, right? It's a Democratic ran state. But so the mayor initially, he's kind of didn't want to make a comment just yet. He wanted to wait and see and hear all the evidence and things like that, kind of a wait and see type of thing. Sounds like today he finally offered his condolences. But he also said that, he'd been reaching out to Jordan's family, but they weren't returning his calls. And Jordan's family say he's a liar. All he does is party and BS. That's their words, right? So they're saying he's lying. He never reached out to him. But today, during, some speech he was giving, he says, and he being the mayor, you guys forget I have a son named Jordan. So, whenever I hear that name, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, I have to think about it. It's like, how you make this about you, first of all. And then, of course, let's go back to Alvin Bragg, who is the DA there in Manhattan. Of course, you guys know he is pursuing that of Donald Trump for buying a little something on the side of his wife outside of his marriage, well before he was elected to the presidency of the United States in 2016. Now, of course, you know that New York was kind of the epicenter of the Stop Asian Hate. Y'all remember that going on, and eventually Asians got an Asian hate crime bill. So that was kind of the epicenter of it. But DA Braggs and Mayor Adams, they were both staunch, what I'm trying to say, advocates of those bills. They aggressively, went after people, and a lot of it was Black people that were deemed to be hateful toward Asians. Just recently, a Black man by the name of Gerard Powell, he was just sentenced to prison for his role in what they call Asian hate, where he admitted to pushing an Asian elder into the train, and I guess they died or whatever. So Alvin aggressively went after that, and he should. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have, and a whole host of other things. But my thing is this: if you guys didn't already know, Jordan is he was a Black man. Daniel is a white man, and he choked a man to death with immunity. He's free as a bird, and they are dragging their feet. They being the DA, Alvin Bragg, and then the mayor. There's a lot more he could say. He could be more demonstrative and more assertive about, hey, y'all need to bring him to justice, right? AOC, she basically said it was a public murder. Of course, a lot of people are mad at her for saying that, but I don't agree with AOC a lot, but she is right in that it was a public murder, and I'll take it a step further. It was a public lynching, right? Now imagine if that had been an Asian that was on that train floor, or a white person or a Hispanic person, and the aggressor, let's call it what it is, murder, was the ones that had him in the chokehold. They wouldn't have let him go. They would have been right in Rikers Island right now, waiting a trial, right, or a grand jury. So that's what they're also saying too, that the DA there, he can choose to arrest and then try to have fashion a grand jury, or he can take it straight to the grand jury, to get an indictment and all of that. Either way, the police department and the DA, they're all saying, well, we're kind of trying to see all what happened. But a lot of people are saying that they haven't really showed any interest in actively pursuing Daniel Penny for, I'm going to call it again, murdering that of Jordan. And the other thing too is, you guys might remember Khalif Browder. Y'all remember Khalif Browder, 16-year-old there in New York, who was accused of stealing a backpack. And he sat in Rikers Island as a child from the 2010 to 2013 without even going to court, right? He never even saw the inside of a court. And while he was in Rikers Island, he was beaten and a whole host of other things that, children experience being in such a heinous place, if you will. Eventually, Khalif was let out after never going to trial, never, even being formally charged or, any of that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, he took his own life. So I brought up Khalif because he went to jail for allegedly stealing a backpack, and it came out that he didn't even steal the backpack, right? But he sat there 3 years for a backpack, and you got a white man on the loose after choking a man to death in front of, well, from what we now is the whole world has seen it, and definitely those people on the subway. And I mean, it's just, it's sanctioned murder is what it is. I mean, nobody, really saw a big deal. And there's a lot of protesting going on, I should say that, from people of all walks of life. Yesterday, they blocked the subway trains, and they were saying no justice, no peace. Nobody is, the trains are not passing. And we want justice. We will disrupt. A lot of people have gone to jail and things like that, protesting. So, I would say this, and I don't live in New York City, but for those of you guys who do live there, y'all need to, because both of those seats are elected positions, the DA and the mayor. Y'all really need to think long and hard about that. If people who look like you will not get you justice, or your people justice, what are they good for? Donovan?
Yeah, well, you said a lot, but the thing is, for the last recently, up until Obama has taken office, the Democrats, because we've been in this country a very, very long time. A lot of us were raised, and our parents tell us how to operate within this country. In the time of Obama, who we were hoodwinked and bamboozled to think that, well, there's somebody that looks like us, we're going to get justice and we're going to get these things. From the rise of Obama, there has been more Black specific incidences toward Black people and outright racism to tap Black people down. And we had a Black president in there that refused to do anything about it. That's just a fact. He looked like us, but didn't do anything for us. We didn't get a bill. We didn't get anything. Oh, it is a known fact. There is a program called Mockingbird. It's a CIA operative thing that was started back in the 60s and 70s, to where the press in the United States, there's only 6 major press units out there that have basically co-opted the narrative to make people think a certain way in regards to propaganda, especially toward Black people. So having known that we have this propaganda that is going on, especially against Black people, how many examples are we going to need to know that we are out here by ourselves? There is nobody coming to help us. This man is getting choked out. The one brother, remember a few years ago, the brother that was running away from the cops, I believe it was in South Carolina, he got shot in the back. You didn't hear Jimbo Clyburn or any of the CBC even coming to defend this black man. It's the CBC and all these so-called black leaders. You had a black president. You got a black vice president, so-called. You've got congressmen and all of these people, cabinet members, police chiefs, all of this stuff. Why is everything getting worse? And it's getting worse for black people. So now what they've done is they've weaponized the press to propagate against you, to let a white man murder somebody basically on camera, and he's walking around free. How does that work in America? When you kill somebody, regardless if it was an accident or not, you're still charged, be it homicide or what's the other one? Manslaughter. You're charged with something. But notice how they're letting these white guys get away with it. They're getting away with it. A woman shoots a man for having an air freshener. She does 2 years in prison, and then now she's out. I mean, what's it going to take? With this reparations thing that's coming out, the Democratic Party, this is what we're trying to wake you guys up and see. We're not saying the Republican Party is better, but the Democratic Party, especially when it comes to this reparations vote, somebody said it in the chat. Beverly White said it. This is going to show you who the Democrats really are. If that reparations thing does not pass here in California, that shows you what a lot of us have been telling you for years about the Democratic Party. They don't give a damn about you. We've got black women leading the homeless thing. 50% of all homeless in the United States is black people in general. And yet they still want you to vote for them and say, well, you know, we're better than the Republicans. Are they? Are they really? It is sad because white supremacy is on the march. They're just doing it in a form to where they've got people in positions that's going to protect their interests. You got insurrectionists in the military. They tell us if we pick up a gun and we go against our own people, they are legalized to shoot us in the field for cowardice. If you do not want to fight, they can shoot you in the field. But only in America can you try to overturn your government and you get 2-3 years of legalese and trials. In most countries, when you make that attempt, you're lined up against the wall. There is no trial. You're just shot. You either be successful or you're going to pay the consequences. It's sad. But again, you and I have seen it for a while, Demetra. It's no surprise to me that they are out here to kill black people outright and get away with it. It's that cut and dry.
Yeah. So there was 2 other people holding Jordan Neely. I didn't realize that one of them was black. Maybe he was the one that was on the other side. But yeah, they also need to be brought up on charges. They do, because it doesn't sound like he was harming anybody physically. I mean, last time I checked, it wasn't a crime to be yelling and hollering in Black America, regardless of what you say. You said that, you know, I want to be clear in what you said here, because I don't want to misquote you, but you said he was tripping, so he got choked out. Where is that legal? Somebody tripping, somebody hollering, or whatever the case is. Now, it should also be said that, you know, he had a bout with mental illness, but I'm trying to figure out where in America somebody hollering deserves to be choked out. See, that's the language we got to be careful of, and that we don't perpetuate that of white supremacy, because there's a lot of white supremacists and people who are tools of white supremacists running around talking about that Jordan deserved that. And you got people too bringing up his criminal record. But my thing is, did none of those people know his criminal record when he was on that train? Nobody knew that. And so to use that as a justification as to why he was choked out, see, that's the stuff that the demons do. The devil, those devils, that's what they do. They justify the taking of a black life by delving all up into their past. And as they always say, they not only kill the black man once, they kill him twice by killing his reputation. And so we never hear that with white people. When they do stuff, we always hear about, oh, the troubled past they had. Oh, they were such a good kid. And, you know, all that other stuff. Now, I will say this. I've heard more demonization of Jordan Neely than I have of the guy that went in Texas that went to that mall and killed those innocent people. I mean, I'm not saying they're not talking about his criminal background, but I haven't seen it. So I don't know. But we need to be careful of that, Black America. And Asha, you says, he says, Black women stand down. And you also say, let Black men fight. We're too masculine. Well, it's supposed to be the job of Black men. They're supposed to be the ones out there handling, whatever that needs to be handled. But unfortunately, in the last couple of years, there has been a lot of Black women on the front line rallying for that of Black men who have been murdered or whatever the case is. But that was never our job in the first place. And that's not even on being nothing mean. It's just out of order, right? And let's see here. Where'd I go? Did I get all the way to my okay, Easy, how are you doing? I did get to the bottom. Easy, how you doing today? And Shiloh says, and how you doing, by the way, says, I think about this. If the judicial system can justify the open on-camera murder of a homeless Black people, the next step is murdering Black people openly, regardless of class. Wake up. And see, this is the other thing people need to realize is white people, they do have that vigilantism about them, right? Especially when it comes to Black people. They feel like it is up to them to subjugate Black people and get us in place, right? Even up to murder. We've seen it with Ahmaud Arbery. We didn't see it, but we heard about it with Emmett Till, Trayvon Martin, and the list goes on and on and on about white people just out of nowhere. Really, even a 16-year-old kid that got shot by the old, devil, ringing the dog on the wrong doorbell. He felt like it was his job to just shoot the kid. Not once, but, open the door and shot him again. Thank God he survived, but they think that's their duty, right? I'll just neutralize the threat. I'm going to neutralize the threat. And then, the police is going to let them get it. They know that. They know that they have, or they will at least get the benefit of a doubt of immunity, right? Because like if it was one of us and one of them came to the door, I don't think it'll be the first thing to come in our mind. Well, let me go on and just shoot now, ask questions later. My homie, the police officer, gonna come. I'm gonna explain and listen. Oh, I thought, because it took them a while to pick that devil up too, that shot that 16-year-old, but they know that, right? They think that they deputize themselves, if you will, to do what they're doing to Black people, which is why we as Black people need a protection bill specifically that addresses Black people. Democrats are in control, so to speak, now, especially in places like New York. And Joe Biden is in the White House because of Black people. Where is our bill? We hear about something like this every other day. Why aren't we protected class of people? I'll tell y'all why after Donovan.
Well, what I was going to say is this, that doctrine that you're talking of that white people use, have you guys noticed it was used recently about 20 years ago? It's called the George Bush doctrine. You have no weapons of mass destruction. You have no basic capability to attack me, but yet I feel you're going to attack. And that's the doctrine that George Bush used to go into Iraq. I feel you're going to attack me, so I'm going to attack you first.
Preemptive strike.
Preemptive, yeah, a preemptive type thing. Yeah. And that's what they use, and that's what white people use. And then you have other things that they use to justify what they're doing. How many of you guys remember the guy that was, oh, Your Honor? And it was a great, if you're a lawyer, it was a great strategy that anybody with any common sense said should not have worked, but it did. The kid that was too rich to understand what he was doing. How many guys remember that? Now, if they use the kid that was too rich, why isn't it this kid come from the ghetto and he's too poor to understand what he's doing? White supremacy at its finest. And it's just sad. And you've got Black people that will constantly defend what Master tells them to defend. Just like you did that report about the Chicago guy. The mayor's not even in the seat yet. And he's saying, well, he's trying to straddle the fence. And it's just ridiculous. And, if you could elaborate on that, I would really, really love to hear that again, because they don't want these people in here. The very Black people barely get any support from the government, and you're going to slam bam these people into the Black neighborhood rather than putting them into the Hispanic neighborhood. Tell us a little bit about that, Demetria, because for those that didn't see your video yet.
It's hot here, y'all. Today it's weird, but anyway, yeah. So don't let me forget that King of Sorrows. He says, "Isn't the chokehold illegal in New York? It has been since 1993, but of course we know that it has been used a lot since then. Especially you cited Eric Garner. That is a perfect case. He was selling Lucy cigarettes, and Daniel Pantaleo. That was the name of. I think that was the name. Daniel Pantaleo, the name of the officer that basically is still a free man." Choked Eric to death, and that was an illegal move. In fact, it's illegal in I think most places in the United States. And so, yeah, the cops aren't supposed to do it, but here is this man who was an ex-Marine, some guy on the subway. He's allowed to do it, and he's at home right now eating, dinner as if he didn't just kill
watching
a black
the
man.
show right now, eating Doritos.
Yeah, as if he didn't kill a black man wholesale, So yeah, you're absolutely right. So as far as what's going on in Chicago, of course, they are being the Democrats. Well, actually, I should say this: Chicago and Illinois, they're getting an influx of immigrants because there's an influx of immigrants coming in, and so a lot of Republican states are like, well, we're gonna bust them to the Democrat states because y'all the ones that's rallying for these open borders. So Chicago is getting a lot of them, and so what they're wanting to do is move them into the black neighborhood. So the South Side of Chicago, South Shore, I believe it's called. They want to use an abandoned high school, I think it is, and do it all up and house them there. And the black residents are like, no, y'all can't do that. First of all, y'all been promising us that Mayor Lightfoot said that they would get a youth center. And they're like, we're still waiting on that, but y'all don't have funds to help us. But y'all got all these funds to help them. So there's like, nah, an 11-year-old boy got up to speak. And he was like, why y'all can't put him in a Hispanic neighborhood? Because Lori Lightfoot also tried to do that to them. I think it's Woodlawn is the name of the area. They tried to do that to them then. So black people are like, nah, enough. The Democrats, we help y'all get where you are. But see, that's our fault. It's our fault as black people. We keep putting them in office and they help everybody else. And we can't simply get our black leadership to go and at least arrest Daniel Penny and then sort out the chips, right? He's walking free. They did it, but then they let him go. They won't bring him up on charges. So those are our black leadership sitting on their hands, wanting to appease white supremacy. So we need to send a message to them. That's what I would think. And Shiloh says Daniel Penny is not the law and the only went on press tour to taint and sway the pending jury in this direction. And you're absolutely right. Also, via his lawyer, he said he didn't mean to do it. Now I'm thinking you choking a man for 15 minutes. You think that's normal? You're an ex-Marine, so I'm sure you know something about,
That's exactly where I was going to go.
Yeah.
Because when you are trained, they specifically tell you what the parameters are in the actions that you do. Now, I was in the Air Force, so we didn't really do a lot of killing or nothing like that. We lived in hotels and, you know how the Air Force goes. But when you're talking about the Army and the Marine Corps, these people are trained to kill with their hands, with whatever they need to do. That's why, okay, a lot of people don't know this. When you see a Marine, especially a Marine, you'll notice that if you look at their belts might have different colors. One might be tan, one might be black, one might be like a dark green or whatever. That is a martial arts designation to what level they are in the skill of their hand combating skills. So that Marine knew holding somebody for 15 minutes, everybody knows the person is, rendered unconscious within seconds of you initially putting that type of hold on him. So that was outright murder. And then he wouldn't release it? But then again, you see how they use your thing to authority? Oh, he was a Marine. I'm a military person too. So that, that's like, I kind of feel for it, but right is right, wrong is wrong. But see how they're pulling on your heartstrings like, oh, he's a veteran, whatever. Murder is murder. It doesn't matter.
Now, absolutely. Hello, D. Griffin. How you doing? It says whatever bill they come out with, they will still, it's unfortunate, but they need to do something, right? The Asians, and I'm not saying that there wasn't hate exacted upon them. There was, Donald Trump started that with the virus, and he named it the Kong flu and, the China virus and all that other stuff. And some of that came along with it, but they went through it, a couple of months, and bam, they got an anti-Asian hate crime bill. Black people, we've been going through it since we've been over here, and we still can't get anything to specifically protect us. Now, of course, you have some Democratic shields that'll say, "Oh, well, that's for black people too. That bill is for black people." But again, I impress upon you to read it. The first 4 or 5 paragraphs talk about Asians and Pacific Islanders. So it's like it never says anything about black people or anybody else. But see, a lot of those people who lie to us and say, "Well, it's for us too," they know y'all won't read it, and so they know that you'll have this appeal to authority. Some of these people you see on the internet or TV, we think because they're on the TV and internet that they have our best interest at heart. That's not always the case. But we need our own bill, at least to get the party started. And of course, to say, well, have this anti-lynching act, the Emmett Till anti-lynching act. But, lynching is already Capital One, and is that just for us or is that for everybody? You know what I mean? We need something to say, protect black people, black Americans, African Americans, or however they want to phrase it that way. It makes it known that it's not for minorities, people of color, and everybody else. It's for black people.
And have you guys noticed that whenever they talk about reparations, all of these people that we opened the door for to come here, the first thing that they say is, well, what about Asians? What about Mexicans? What about Hispanics? What about this, that? We're not talking about you guys right now. We're specifically talking about black people. But notice when they get their numbers up, they're the first ones against us getting anything. But our leadership is the first to talk about, oh, let's do for them and let's do. We are always helping everybody else out. And I'm so thankful that people are waking up and seeing that we have to help ourselves and hold these servants that we elect accountable to what we need and what we need to get. So if somebody comes up to you and talking about what about, we're not talking about that right now. This is about reparations for blacks, ADOS blacks, period. Lineage blacks. That's what we're talking about right now. Yes, homeless is an issue. Yes, this person's an issue. Yes, Haitians are an issue. Immigrants and all this, we could do all that all day. But right now, to solve a problem, you got to solve one problem at a time. Don't let anybody get up in your face talking about what aboutism. We're talking about what black people need in this country. And we've been putting ourselves behind everybody else for hundreds of years. So now we have to start putting ourselves first. And if you got a elected servant that is not getting with the program, y'all need to get together and get that person up out of there and get you somebody in there that's going to be unapologetic to get you the resources that you need.
Yes, indeed. And Brother Jonell, I did hear about Daniel Penny not being on the level himself, but of course they'll tell us all about the black victim and all the things that he was doing wrong before he was taken out of here, right? And somebody said that we haven't seen the picture of the guy that did the shooting in Allen, was it Allen, Texas, at the mall. I haven't seen an official picture because I haven't really been looking, but I saw the gruesome picture of him taken out, if you will. Wasn't a good sight to see. And for I don't like going on Twitter because everything flies on Twitter. Like I've seen a lot of images of some of the people without the blur on them, and I'm like, why would y'all put that on here? People's children and stuff. They said it was a family of 4. They went to the mall. They exchanged the little boy's birthday clothes because I guess he got some clothes for his birthday. And the mom, the dad, and his little brother, was taken out of here. So one moment he had a family, and the next he did not. So it's like, I think we need to have a little bit of, compassion for some of the things that we put on the internet. Only Pamela's way, how you doing? If I didn't already, you say, we have no friends and they're old nothing. I totally agree with you. Complex Blackness, she says, I saw your face, Demetria, on that even in pro-gun states that black men being accosted are never armed, getting held up by white women and men. These brothers don't even have a bean blower on them. Yeah, but somehow they justify it. Well, I thought, right? Or I was scared. Or they looked like, or they were aggressively yelling. Like I can aggressively yell. It might be annoying, but is that against the law? I mean, it might be a noise ordinance, but is that does it warrant the whole because I'm sure that's what his lawyers would try to invoke the castle doctrine, stand your ground. I was standing my ground. It's like because somebody was yelling at you. Somebody's yelling at you, but again, I keep wanting to draw this back to the Black leadership, and I'm going to say misleadership, not in just in New York, but it's everywhere. They don't see Black life themselves being valuable because they get a lot of money to look the other way. They get a lot of money to go to the churches and to everywhere else Black people congregate and say, oh, well, I'm going to help. I'm going to do this. And then they get in there and be like, I don't know you, Negro. And then when it comes time to get back up in there, they go, singing the praises. Ralph Warnock was a good example. And I think Black people is really starting to wake up because Herschel Walker came within striking distance, and he shouldn't have, if Raphael Warnock was a better candidate. But again, what did he do for Black people specifically? He needed Black people to get back in office, and Black people put it back in there. I don't know what Ralph is doing because I'm not in Georgia, but I ain't heard nothing else from him. Like nothing at all. Heard, Jim Clyburn, who was one of the oldest dudes in Congress. He got caught up in something. I haven't really looked into it, but Black leadership everywhere. They fail Black people. For some reason, we won't wake up. We just keep on voting them in. And we do it on the premise of, well, it's better than the Republican. What about, I cannot stand a Negro that every time you bring in a Democrat to the carpet, they want to talk about, oh, well, what about the Republicans? Nobody's Republican here. I'm nonpartisan. We have said time and time again, we know Republicans don't mean Black people any good either, but the Republicans don't come begging for Black votes the way the Democrats do, and they get our votes. So, yeah, they should be held accountable for lying. They should have to do something for us.
Hey, you know what's going to be funny now that we're in the election cycle? Watch Mr. Obama and Mrs. Obama be rolled out to the Black communities to bring y'all out and, to be all cool with it. See, the problem in our politics is this, Demetra, our parents, okay, they had their own, they grew up in their own communities. They grew up with their own shops, their own clothes. But somewhere along the line, what they wanted was to be recognized. I want a white person just to recognize me as a human being. I want a white person to let me shop with them. Let me, take a shit next to them on the toilet. I want to be viewed as being seen. I just want to be seen. That's what they fought for. They didn't fight for human rights. They just fought for recognition. And if you talk to a lot of them to this very day, as they see their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren being choked out and killed, what is the first thing they say? Well, we gonna pray on it, the good old white man. When we get to heaven, the good Lord, the sweet Lord is gonna justify everything. But guess what? For all we know, when we go to the upper room, some of us are going to the lower room, when we go up there, now, I'm not a Bible thumper, but some of you guys that do know the Bible, am I correct, Demetra? Does God, describing God in heaven, doesn't he have angels that all they ever do is just praise him? I mean, for centuries now, they've just been doing it for thousands of years. Because God is a vain God. That's why he doesn't want any other God around him or, us to worship anything else. So think about this. If he has angels, all they do is praise him and whatever. What makes you think that when we leave this reality and we go to heaven, we might be in the cotton fields up there picking cotton for the rest of our days? So we got to make our heaven here. We got to make our stand here. We got to make it better for the next generation here. But if you talk to our parents, they're going to tell you, because they got the jobs, they got the opportunities that had never happened before, everything is good. And that is why when these baby boomers are dying, the kids don't know how to pay the taxes. The kids don't know how to do this. And it goes right back to the white man, because the generation is so selfish with the knowledge. But all they ever wanted was to be recognized and accepted into white society. The new generation, we ain't all up on that, because we see what that has done for us.
She said, Black men too busy trying to go overseas and create broken homes over there. Oh, Lord. Well, I want to say this. That's not all Black men. In fact, I think only, they say 20 to 30% of Americans have passports. So somebody lying, okay? All these people saying they passport bros ain't really passport bros, because as I said, it ain't that many people that got a passport. So I
It
don't
costs a
know.
lot of money to travel. So trust me, if you ain't going overseas, like, you know, these people, Mexico is not overseas. I'm sorry. Canada is not overseas. I'm sorry. That's part of the, you know, the continent. You got to have some money. So for these men to be traveling, these men obviously have money to do so. And Dimitri will tell you, a ticket to South Africa, what was that, $1,600 per person? That's just the ticket. Then you got to go over there and stay. You know, so.
Mm-hmm. Hello, the 5-star review says, I never costed because I carry my equalizer everywhere. I don't leave home without it. Yeah, I mean, it's really getting to that point, you know.
Yes,
where
Demetra, I just applied for my concealed carry permit here in California, and I got an interview on the 31st to get that. Because it's I'm serious, it's getting to that point even here in the liberal state of California.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's getting to the point where you can't trust anybody, right? I mean, again, just with the shooting at the mall the other day, those people were at the mall. Yeah, the mall, right? And I'm not gonna lie, when I go to places like that, I my head is on swivel. I'm a little bit on edge because it's like they don't check for weapons or people coming up in here. Either. Everybody in here ain't playing with a full deck, right? So it does kind of just make you a little bit leery to go out like that because you just never know. And El Boogie say they wanted to be equal with white folks and still do, right? Naima, how are you doing? Peace unto you as well. And Eva, how you doing? It says, I'm going and vote Republican this year. I was a lifelong Democrat. And you know what? You wouldn't be the only one. I've heard a lot of Black people who are Democrats for a very long time says, you know what? I tried it that way for a while. Let me go try something else. And listen, we know in a lot of cases that the Republicans aren't good for Black people. But in this case, it'd be like a protest vote. Democrats, y'all keep thumbing your nose at us. You keep taking us for granted. All right, great, fine. You finally convinced us that you do not want to help us. You do not have our better interests at heart, so we'll go vote somewhere else. Or I might stay home and have a V8, right? I might not just go at all. So, you know, that's on them. Or let the people y'all help vote for y'all. Let them go to the polls, show up, and you know, because they're going to benefit for it. I mean, I tend to think those who are benefiting from the services that are rendered, those are the people who should do the heavy lifting. It shouldn't be Black people anymore. I mean, my God. Now, everyday civilians are thinking, oh, you know, I'll go choke somebody out today, somebody Black, and you know, it'll be okay. I'll be out. So.
And you know, and for me, and I can only speak for me, I don't care if it's Donald Trump, whoever the Republican nominee is, I am voting Republican, and I'm an independent, and that is my protest vote, and that's what I'm going to do because, again, politics is about power, and as you see, the Democrats have the power. Obama had the power for 2 years in his administration. Joe Biden had the power for 2 years in his administration. We put these two guys into office and they did absolutely nothing for us. So guess what? Since you don't want to do it, we're going to take the power from you. We're going to take the power from you. Yes, the Republicans might do tax cuts for the rich. Oh, well.
Absolutely. And 5-star review says, integration killed Black America. We are dealing with the aftermath of the destruction. Stop worrying about the masses. Get together with a few Blacks who want true freedom. Absolutely. And we know that. After segregation ended, you know, we was over there, as Donovan says, eating a seasonless soup. You know, we thought we made it. We've arrived. I can live with the white people. And, you know, they because of this bill and the end of segregation, they got to love us, right? They got to put up with us. And we're still dealing with that today. They don't love us. They don't even like us. And you know what? How many of us really care? I don't care if they like me or not. I really don't care because, you know, it's like the feeling is mutual. To be honest with you, like, because a lot of times we put a lot of value on what they think about us. Like, I can't stand to hear a Negro talking about, well, that's why white people don't like us now. Because they see, you know, some Black people. It's like, do you really think white people didn't like us because they saw somebody twerking or somebody stealing something out the grocery store? You think that's why white people
they
don't
got
like
a bonnet
us?
on their head.
Yeah, they didn't like us when they would, you know, brought us through the horrible institution of slavery. That I don't think you love anybody doing that to them. So what I'm saying is, a lot of times we put a lot of value on what they think, right? Oh, they're like they're the standard. It's like if you really knew your history, you wouldn't be thinking they was the standard. All the things that they've done to Black people and people all over the world and still doing, and we still consider them the standard. Like we think that, as they said, white is right, black get back, and all the other slave-minded things that we used to say, our ancestors anyway, and some people still operate in that same realm. Uh, Dorothy said, I'm a baby boomer and I was outnumbered by those who wanted to blend in. Yeah, they thought white was right. Like, are you kidding me? I'm out of here, right? And Only Panels Wade says, sure ain't caring about none of that hand holding with the oppressor. Brother Jonell says, the Herschel Walkers are an example of the black product that has been produced for these political positions. It's cloak and dagger or Trojan horse. We keep falling for these Trojan horses in politics. Do nothing for us but looking black instead of us doing for self. America 365 is teaching black people we must awaken, separate, and war to establish our own on all levels. We must have some of this earth that we can call our own. Absolutely. And that's what the black message to the black man in America in the back of the Final Call newspaper, what the black man wants, right? In America, it's all there, and land is a part of that. And Jean Michael says, a lot of money to travel back and forth. Yes, indeed. And Brother Reddy says, them dudes are short-term visa bros. Yeah, they going over there for 4 days or whatever, spending the money they got and coming back and then saving up to go back and do it all over again. But, unknown. How are you doing? It says, hi, guys. This is Alan Guillory. I heard the news about Gary. Do you have any info? Not a whole lot at this moment. Sounds like they're still in the process of planning the services. That's all I really know. But I'm sure there'll be some information. In fact, the family, so Jalen, his daughter, is going to be sending me some stuff, and she's asked me to put together a flyer and just some information to kind of put out there. So once I get that, then you guys will be abreast of everything is going on. So it's just a matter of time. But yes, RIP to Gary Monroe. Great loss for the city of Houston and Texas, in general, and a lot of other places. So Michael says, Donovan, do you know any good restaurants in Venice Beach? Okay, so are you answering that in the
well, no, I'm not. The person that you would ask would be Demetra. She used to live down on Venice Beach every Sunday. Demetra will know what to do. But I know what's that, Bubblegum Shrimp? What's that one?
Bubba Gump's?
Yeah, Bubba Gump's is a good restaurant there if you go on the Santa Monica Pier.
Yeah, they got a lot of stuff out there. I mean, it just depends on what you're looking to eat. They got a copious amount of restaurants on the Venice Beach. They call it the boardwalk, if you will. Got a lot of stuff there. And they got a lot of other restaurants around there. So it's just Los Angeles, or anything you want to eat, they have it. Vegan, non-vegan, you name it, they have it. So you will not starve there. Manrico, how you doing? He says, I'm not sure about the passport part, but we definitely should travel as much as everyone else, perhaps more so. Yeah, a lot of people don't travel as much as they should, and you should get out and see the world. Because you should, right? A lot of people only learn about the world from what everybody else tell them or watching TV or something like that. Mm-hmm. But oftentimes you got to get out there and go see for yourself, right? We went to Africa, we were told a whole bunch of stuff, to be afraid. And the first day we was there, I was like, I know goddamn well, I ain't finna be afraid. I see this lily white woman walking through the streets of Johannesburg with her
dark night. Remember we had that late dinner? Dark night.
Without a care in the world. I was like, I'm not finna be afraid around my people, but that's the stuff that we had been hearing. And we got there, it was like, this is like heaven, right? It was like one of the best places I've ever visited. So, let's see here. 5-star, you say, facts, I don't go to malls at all. You don't catch me out in public. Yeah, it's just a scary place to be. Eva, you say, Black people really don't want that. It's was more the city leaders. My mama says she didn't need all that. Yeah. And you know why they were paid to do that? They being the leaders, because it's like, all right, it's the same thing like with the New Deal, right? When FDR was trying to run for office, he needed Black support, right? Because he didn't really have it. And his wife, Eleanor, was like, well, you need these Black people on board. So they made it seem like, well, we're including Black people in the New Deal and they get these benefits and these programs, but it's because they need us. And the same thing is kind of true for civil rights. We can't really have Black people really getting strong together. Let's bring them into the fold. And we see what happened. It broke up our neighborhoods, our community, and all of that. And we haven't been the same since. Now, of course, there was a lot of I don't know if it was more racism, but definitely Jim Crow. But we were better together. And look at us now. We can't even, get together and have a peanut gallery, Well, I mean, we just can't. So that was all by design as well.
Yeah, and think about this too. When we talk about traveling is probably the best education you will get once you get out of this system of the United States education system. I'm going to tell you my outlook on life, because I was raised overseas. This is another reason why my thinking process is totally different from a lot of regular Americans that were just born, raised, and die here. Because I've seen how the world perceives Black people outside of the United States, and it's a big thing. And I just want to say this, especially those of us in the South. I have a grandmother and a great grandmother. I remember I was 16 years old. A quick story, 16 years old. And we came back from Japan and went to go our hometown, Louisiana. It was a small little town called New Roads. And my great grandmother, she was one of the elders of the town. She had been there since the 1800s, whatever, born there. She told me that the farthest she had ever been was New Orleans. And, and in the South, I get it. We have our families and we kind of stay in our little comfort zones and stuff. But that is one of the worst things you can do, because you don't see change. And if you do see change, it's very slow. I sometimes go back and I tell my cousins, young cousins who want to be in the streets and stuff, get on a bus and go see how other people are living. And that would have a dramatic input on how you want to live your life. So if you've been in poverty all your life and you've never seen wealthy Black people, go to Atlanta, go to Virginia, go to a different environment. Don't stay in the South and then go to Alabama. That's like saying Louisiana or Mississippi. It's kind of the same thing. Go to a different area where you see something totally different. When my son graduated high school, I didn't tell him go right off to college. I said, son, why don't you take a year off and just go to Europe and just travel around, and I'll pay for it. Because I thought that, and I still believe that is the best education you can give a child, for them to see the world for how it is. I've been in the Philippines where I've literally seen young people in the trash cans finding something to eat. No safety, no personal safety net, no welfare, no nothing. These people have to scrounge and go get it. It's going to affect your psyche and where you want to be in this world. It's to me the most, it's a better education than you'll ever get in the United States education system.
Absolutely. And Unknown, I saw Unknown made a comment. Let me see. Go back. He says the show ain't the same without my dog, 5-star. Yes. I just kind of want to make a clarification. Donovan and I have not been on a war zone. It's probably been a year or two. It's been a while. Of course, I would go on there. Gary would ask me every once in a while, and I would go on there, whatever. But it's not going to be the same. But I just want to say that this is obviously a different show than a war zone, and it always has been a different show. Because I know a lot of times people think, that Donovan and I came about because of the war zone. Now, Donovan and I have been doing this for a very long time. In the studios of Donovan's garage, and right before the pandemic hit, we were going to a studio that Donovan paid for a whole year in San Bernardino, and they had the cameramen and everything. I think we only got to do it a couple of times. The pandemic hit, and don't you know that man died? Hector died. He got the virus and died or whatever. But needless to say, I say all that to say, Donovan and I were already doing this, and we were just an addition to the war zone. So I hope that helps. But yes, RIP to him. It's a big void. And for somebody to, that was not afraid to tell it like it is. So I hear you though. I hear you. Okay, so let's see here. Where did I leave off? Yeah, Dorothy, it's a trip. And Ebony, how you doing? It says in other countries you don't work, you don't eat. Yeah. My sister-in-law is Panamanian, and she says, we don't have no social programs over there. She said, if somebody loses their job, you got to, make some plates and go knock on some doors. It's not like you can go to a building and say, listen, I need some money and need some food stamps or whatever. They're like, to tell you, You better make it do what it do is people buy some plates from you. And she said that's what they did. They went and sold plates, food or whatever, door to door, seeing somebody needed some services or whatever. But there's like we have to hustle in a lot of these countries. And so when she came over here, she's like, shoot, these people got it good. We don't even have nothing like this, to help us. But again, we got to be careful of who we vote for. I know a lot of people, especially our people, we think the Democrats are the party of the people, the Black people's party. How many of our relatives have told us, oh, well, your grandmama and your mama and your great grandmama and granddaddy, all them voted Democrat, and you got to vote Democrat too. And if you ask them, all right, why do I got to vote Democrat? That's just the way it is. We've always voted Democrat. And it's like, you've always voted Democrat, and what have you gotten? Well, it's better than the Republicans because, the Republicans, they're going to have us back on the plantation. All this. So this is like Black people too. We've been given these talking points as well. It's like we rattle them off like it's nothing, right? Somebody say something about the not voting for the Democrats and tell you automatically 500 reasons not to vote for the Republicans. And you say, well, did I say vote for the Republicans? Or is that your automatic go-to? So we got to also, we talk about this a lot, get in a position to be able to educate some of these older people. Y'all know what I mean? I say older. I'm talking about these baby boomers, and hell, some of the silent generation is still running around here too. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be, but we got to get good at educating them and say, did you know? And a lot of times they're going to say, oh, I didn't. So
my mom was a big Maxine Waters supporter. And once I gave her the facts on Maxine and asked my mom to back up her facts, she couldn't do it. Now my mom is a believer. She's like, oh, wow, I didn't know that, respectfully. But remember during the 2020 election and that one lady, she had her kids vote and she was like, I told you to vote, not to vote Trump. And the kid voted something different and she just went off on him in the car. And that's the type of attitude that we have. Damn you better vote Democrat. We threaten our kids. And then they vote, and the kid was like, well, Mom, why would I vote for these people? And they don't do anything for me. But she didn't care what he had to say or what he was going to get out of the deal. Voting is a transactional thing. I vote for you. Remember back in the old days? I'll put 2 chickens in every pot if you give me your vote. It's transactional. But we've gotten so slick, and the Democratic Party is so slick. I think about this all the time. How do you get the very people your existence tried to keep enslaved to support you 97% of their population? That is one slick advertisement to get these people brainwashed to vote for the very people that you exist to oppress. It's amazing.
Yep, 5-star review. You're absolutely right. You say facts from 1865 until around 1937. Black Americans voted for the Republican Party. FDR got our leaders to thump for the Democrats. We have been slowly destroyed ever since. Yeah, and that was because we were doing so bad off. You guys remember that was at the tail end, or still kind of in the Great Depression. White people had it bad, but Black people had it really bad, right? White people got the jobs first. They got all the resources first. And so at first, FDR didn't want nothing to do with Black people. Wouldn't have him in the White House. I think it was Booker T. Washington. He wouldn't invite him to the White House. And his wife was like, nah, you got to start taking pictures with some of these Negroes. You need to start being a little bit more friendly, because remember, Black people, specifically Black men, can always vote from 1870. Black women, of course, along with other women, got the right to vote eventually during the suffrage movement and all of that. But it was always a thing of voters' rights. So I say all that to say we could vote. We were just suppressed, right? But for those of us who were not suppressed back then, FDR needed those votes. And so that's when he started to, schmooze up the Black people, acting like he liked us. And, that's how he stayed in office for so long, of course, before the term limits. But yeah, we have not been the same ever since. And we've been from that point there thinking that the Democrats are the friends of Black people. And I'll be honest with you, that's probably the last real significant thing, you want to call it that they did for Black people was back then in 1930s, right? So,
and you got to remember, when did the Great Migration happen from people from the South to the North? That happened around in the 1930s. Why? World War II was on the horizon. White men were going off to fight. They needed men to fill these factories and build these planes, bombs, and all this other stuff. And that was opportunities for Black people, because if you look at the history of World War II, They didn't want Negroes with guns and stuff like that. They didn't want the Black people to fight until it became a necessity for us to fight.
Absolutely. So, Black people have always been used, right? We've been used, as my dad say all the time, we are to be of use, not to be used, right? People, you're supposed to be able to help and assist and all that. But when you don't return the favor, you're just using people. Okay, thank you, Negroes. Till we need you again. Y'all know 2024 is coming up. We're going to need y'all to stroll to the polls. We're going to need y'all to roll on the polls. We're going to need y'all to break out your electric slide. We're going to need y'all to go with James Clyburn to the fish fries. And, we need y'all then, right?
No voting, no bucking.
Yeah, we're going to need y'all to do all of that stuff. Just hold on, wait for it. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to Neely Fuller Jr. Yesterday, and he pointed out that Black people, unfortunately, when you see us in the media or anywhere else, we're always dancing, entertaining, and twerking. And what did he say? We are, he says, terrorist, tacky, and terrorist, tacky. I forget the other T. But nevertheless, they weren't good. And he says, that's what we do, right? And so it's the same thing. They'll call on us when those time comes, and we'll show up, clucking and tapping and
well, remember, the election's coming up. You Negroes need to come and save democracy. You did it last time. We can't let Trump get back up in here. You got to save democracy. And sure enough, Black women will go and the Black man will go, and it's up to say, and we save democracy. And then what do we get for it? Not a damn, like what the 5-star used to say, not a damn thing.
Not a goddamn thing.
You know what I mean? And real history. Since we're talking history, 1950, Eisenhower administration. How many of you guys know Eisenhower's mother was a mulatto? So here you have another Black president that did nothing, absolutely nothing for his people. He didn't even want to send the armed officers in the army to protect the Little Rock Nine. They had to kick him to do that. But that's what I'm saying. The talented 10th and all this, the bourgeoisie, once they get to a certain aspect, they don't want to do anything for their own people. And to me, that's a crime within itself. And it's really sad that the history books in the United States do not teach that Eisenhower was a Black man. A lot of people do not know that. If your mother is a mulatto, what is a mulatto, Demetra?
Somebody who was basically mixed with Black and white.
And if you have a mulatto mother in this country, your birth certificate should say you are classified as a Black person. The most respected general and okay president was a Black man, and yet we have our kids thinking Barack Obama was the first Black president. Oh, I'm sorry, Bill Clinton was the first Black president because he got his whacker-tackered, whatever. It's just crazy, the educational system. But that's how ignorant we are about our own history.
And Pam, I did get the information. I haven't looked at it yet, but I will. It's so easy as saying temperamental. It might be temperamental. It was, it was just yesterday. Terrorist, tacky. It might have been temperamental. So yeah, but he says that's what we do, right? Whenever you see us, for the most part, we doing the most, And it's like, why are you doing all of that? We just got to be seen, and it's not even for the right reasons. It's it's like we entertained, and we're entertaining. We want to be entertained. It's like he always said, Black people don't have a reason to celebrate. Now I know some people say, well, yes, we do. What are we celebrating? What milestones have we reached since what some people will say the civil rights movement, which I say is the false idea of civil rights, but what milestones have we really reached as Black people where we need to be celebrating all like that?
Well, Demetra, let me ask you this question real quick, because I know we got to close out real quick. But let me ask you this question. I think it's important. You just brought up the fact that we like to be entertained and we're too busy partying and stuff like that. You just saw a video today of us doing the most. And you don't have to describe the video, but was that a video of us doing the most? You guys notice the Demetra's face right there? Doing the most. I mean, we're always doing the most. Like you just said, we saw a video today that showed us doing the most. All these problems, people being murdered in the street, Sandra Bland still hasn't been explained, and all this other stuff. but we see a video with us without a care in the world, Sodom and Gomorrah, but it's our people, not white people, not the Hispanics, not the Asians. It's our people.
And as best I can, that video was, it took place, I guess they have something called Mocha Fest, okay? And the hotel that it was held at is not too far from me. It's a pretty nice hotel. It's called the Grand Tuscany Hotel, where they got the piano playing up in there. They got gold trim everywhere. They got glass. It's nice, it's a classy place to be, right? So my daughter, I was getting ready to go on down with Donovan to do our podcast earlier, and she said, "Did you see this video?" And I'm, as best I can, clean it up because I'm a lady, right? But anyway, this video, broad daylight. So what the Mocha Fest is, I guess it's a pool party for Black people, right? So in this video, broad daylight at the pool, in front of everybody, there's some things that are going on that should not be going on. There, it should have been very private, very X-rated, and then everybody's just kind of there. A lot of things that, like I said, what is worse than Babylon? Because that's what that was. It's like worse than Babylon. And I'm like, okay, so these people are doing some acts, like I said, in broad daylight. Everybody else is watching. I'm like, when did that become normal? Like, they're just bobbing and weaving in broad daylight. We're having a good, like, when did that become normal? Because if I was there, I would have, rang the alarm as best I could, security or something, you know what I mean? Or they threw some water on them or something. But people are just so desensitized to things like that. And I'm like, and they were filming it. I'm like, where was the shame? I was so appalled. I was
See, and I'm glad you brought that up, because here's the problem. And it goes back to the 5-star general. It goes back to Dr. Matthews. It goes back to all these people that do all of the work while these other people benefit from it and don't put 2 damn cents into the struggle, but they benefit from the struggle. They want people like yourself, Only Pamela's Way, Jonelle Muhammad. They want everybody else to do the work while they're out there just having a good old time. And then when their time is up, then they want to talk about, well, why don't we have this? Why don't we have more money for this? In my city, I see more young women come to city council demanding housing vouchers that the city does not have. And they act entitled to it. And it's like, well, number one, you're at the wrong venue to address that issue. But again, where were you at when the city budget is being debated at? The days that, that's when you need to go in there and do that. But see, as Black people, especially Black people, we don't know who our councilmen or aldermen are. We don't know what zones we live in. Demetra is a witness of it. When white people, when they want to put a gas station in a white neighborhood or something, the white people show up and they show out. When Black people show up, it was decided 2 months ago at the meeting that was publicly announced. And now you want to holler and scream because they put a weed shop in the heart of your neighborhood, or they put a warehouse right across the street from your house. It's sad.
Dwayne says exactly, Demetri, it is Babylon, America's blasphemous, degenerative, evil being pushed on Black people. We must reject it all. It is ungodly and will lead our people to the fire. I think they was already up in the fire, to be honest with you, because I was like, is this hell? Have we died and all gone to hell? Like, what's going on here? It was,
and the thing is, with what's going on in there, why wasn't I invited? I'm just saying, that's how bad it was, folks. It was like these girls were doing stuff that it didn't matter what tool it was. They just were just turning, and it was terrible. It was horrible.
They said, because on the questionnaire, you have to fill out the questionnaire before you went in. They said, do you have more than 2 minutes in you? And you said no, and so they was like, no, you can't. You can't come up in here.
Yeah, it could turn you away. Right.
Yeah. So, hey, our son, he said, hey guys, just showed up. Guessing this is the ending. Yeah. Says the point is to act entitled at the right time. Beats by Dizzy. How you doing? Says unity is our power. Absolutely. I mean,
when are we going to unify though? That's the question. When? They're killing us in the streets. When do we say enough is enough? When do we do that?
Yep, enough is enough. But, again, enough is enough when we go to the polls. We go to the polls or we not go to the polls. I'm not telling you what to do, but we really need to think long and hard about that. Like, we just have to decide enough is enough. You know what I mean? The Democrats, they already know they got our vote. They know a lot of these old civil rights Negroes gonna show up and keep voting for more of nothing. And I'm not saying this to be mean, and I'm not saying I want them to go anywhere. So don't mistake me when I'm saying, but I think we're gonna start to see a turnaround when the baby boomers start to go on to glory. You know what I mean? Because fortunately and unfortunately, they vote the most. That is the most powerful voting block is the baby boomers, the elderly people in our community. They do show up to vote. They gonna vote the same way they did since 1962, and be mad at you that you don't. And so they kind of pencil whip us a little bit, because for those of us who say, well, we ain't gonna go or whatever, then they go and say, well, it's fine, we'll keep voting for the Democrats. So again, I'm not trying to be mean, but when they go up or down, then I think we'll start to see a shift, because they're not going to change their mind. They're just not. They love old Jim Crow Joe. They think he's the second coming of Obama, and it's pretty damn sad. So anyway, Asha said the black men show up to those meetings. Where were they?
No, and I'm gonna tell you, in my city, no, they didn't show up. They only show up when their friends are running. When their friends are running, we had a coup that actually happened. All these black people supported their friend, even though what their friend was doing was illegal. But as long as it was their friend, it was okay by them. But let a young person do that. Oh my God, they want to lock the young person up under the jail because they didn't follow the rules. Dimitri will tell you, maybe me and Daryl Terrell. He's another black man. We are probably the only two consistent black people that show up at our city council meetings and putting things out. It took me 8 years to get a bathroom in the park down the street from my house. 8 years, but I got it done, and I was consistent about it. But no, they don't show up unless it's going to benefit them. A senior center, a new senior center. We don't even have a youth center in my city. A new senior center. Oh, they all showed out and came in. It's all about them. Why do people who are retired and have money need a new senior center? And we don't even have a youth center. But yet
they vote.
Right. But they complain about the roving gangs of youth vandalizing the city. Make it make sense.
Yeah, they vote. That's why they vote. And the city council meetings I've been to, I've seen predominantly, I've seen more black women than I've seen black men. I would just say that's my experience. I have seen it, but unfortunately, it is more of a reactive thing than a proactive, right? Black people, and it's just my opinion. I'm not saying it's true all the time, but the times that I've gone, I've seen black people be reactive. Like Donovan said, y'all built that weed shop. We got enough weed shops in there. And the city council to plan it, because it's really the planning committee, but the city council got to okay it. They're like, well, it's already done. But when white people hear that one nail has been bought to go build a pawn shop, they don't even want 99-cent stores in their neighborhood. But when they hear that might be a thing, oh, they show up in droves, and they don't say, please don't. They have I wish you would build something like that in our neighborhood. You'll be out of here. You'll be out of here faster than you can think about it. Like, so that's their attitude. But us, we're like, oh, please. Why? We don't need another one. Nah, we got to be gangster just like them. We wish you would. Do it and see, right? They don't fear black people at all. They don't even fear that if they can give, which I heard, Joe Biden gave you Vladimir Zelensky more money. I heard he gave him like $1.2 billion more dollars. So they know that we won't. What are we going to do? We're not going to hold them responsible for giving the Afghans, the Ukrainians, everybody else money and resources while black people talking about we're down. Can we just get a acre? What about a mule? They know we're not going to do nothing, but they can keep thumbing their nose at us and, slapping their behinds at us. And they know we're not going to do nothing. We'll just take it, right? And then they'll say, well, I'm not going to do just anything for black people now. And guess what? Kamala, no, her homegirls gonna show up with their chucks and pearls. They gonna browbeat every Negro that got something bad to say about her. If you even think about saying, oh, Kamala has spent her whole vice presidency doing nothing, people cannot tell you what Kamala has done. She has got the label of giggler in chief. All she does is giggle, wiggle, and jiggle. She has nothing to show for what she's done. And in fact, this was the first time ever in the history of a vice president in the United States that her own party, was thinking about getting her off the ticket. But see, the problem that they had with that, because they knew that Kamala was not going to do anything, they used her to get Black people. The only reason why they can't get rid of Kamala, because they know a lot of Black people will be upset, and they don't want to put another negress in her place. Kamala is a one and done as far as Black women. I know some people say she's not Black, but they think she's Black, all right? Kamala will be the last Black woman to hold that office. And so now they got to figure out, which is why they're bringing all these other people over here, how to get around that. But of course, we know that Joe Biden has Kamala back on the ticket because they know we're going to show up in droves to get people put to the polls. You got your Ricky Smileys, you got your Roland Martins, you got all these Negroes that's going to get on the airwaves and dupe Black people once again. So, we can continue to fall for it, or we can say enough.
No. I have to disagree with you. We've got Ketanji Brown on the Supreme Court right now. She's going to change all the lives and stuff, Demetra. So what you talking about, woman?
Ketanji Brown Jackson, to me, first of all, she doesn't benefit from a majority. She's in the minority on the Supreme Court. And her being the first Black woman, blah, 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 or whatever, on the Supreme Court, that don't do nothing for us. That's a personal achievement for her. She got a hard road to hoe. And how did that work out for us with Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court? He's worse than the white people on the Supreme Court. So when they sell that to us as justice, or y'all finally made it, no, we didn't, because Ketanji don't have the power to change nothing. In fact, Ketanji only interprets the law. She don't make the law. That's for Congress. So anything that Congress can agree on, or whatever the case is, they send it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, they say, well, yeah or no, or we're going to set a precedent. But she don't have no power to say, I don't like that bill, I'm going to strike it down. She kind of does, but she can't do it by herself.
Well, no, I think she's in charge of the Third Circuit. So that's her area that she kind of strikes things down if it comes up to the Supreme Court. So that's the kind of power she does have.
I have to do a little bit more research. I didn't know that they have other jurisdictions.
No, like the lower appellate courts, like each judge has an area that they're in charge of. I think she's in charge of like the third area, whatever the deal is. So like if there's something that wants to go to the Supreme Court, it goes through her in that area, and she says hey or nay if the Supreme Court's going to see that case.
I mean, I have to take your word for it. But we also know that less than 10% of the cases that go to the Supreme Court every year get heard. So it's a crapshoot, really.
No, it's not. Jennifer Lewis says she's going to change things. Ketanji Brown. Wait, let me get a hand clap. Ketanji Brown's going to do all this. So you mean to tell me Jennifer Lewis was lying to us?
The Black mother of Hollywood needs to do just that. Go to Hollywood and play make-believe. Stay out of serious stuff. I can't take her serious, and I don't never want her to do another Negro spiritual musical. Never no more, okay? Not for Kamala, not for Ketanji, not for nobody, okay? Jennifer, please, okay? But anyway, y'all, we're going to get out of here. We don't mean to be here that long on a Tuesday, but we will be back here Wednesday with Walter. I'm sure it'll be interesting. As y'all know, Walter has a very different approach to a lot of things. I'm surprised I'm still on here, the way he is very direct. So we love and appreciate y'all again. Y'all want to bless Donovan for his birthday, as he is so deserving. There is his cash out there. I'm sure he would love and appreciate that. As I said earlier,
I don't mind the type that rolls, but I prefer the type that folds, okay? And real quick, Dewan Gray says, and I like this quote, Ketanji Brown doesn't know what a woman is and has a daughter that's as insane as you can get. Of course, I love the taste of that.
Just really quick, she's appeasing the Democrats, because the Democrats are all about that trans rights stuff, right? But we're kind of seeing how that pans out. I'll give y'all a story. In Riverside, where I'm from, Donovan's at, as a high school kid, I think it was like an adult high school or something like that. But anyway, it's like a continuation school. There was a trans woman. So it used to be a man, but it's a woman. It's saying it's a woman anyway. he wanted to go into the women's bathroom and the girls' locker room rather, and they were like, "No, you can't come up in here," right? So I don't know. I'm not gonna show you video because it's very brutal, and he's beating the crap out of these girls because they don't want him to go into the locker room. The security couldn't stop him. The teachers couldn't stop him. I mean, because he's saying he's a girl now. He's pummeling these girls. Finally, a young brother, and big up to him, he stepped in and, but he was just running roughshod all over these girls on the premise that he's a woman, right? Because they wouldn't let him go into the locker room. And so, my young nephew actually was telling me about it. He's 14. And he was like, "Tia, did you hear about that?" I said, "No." I said, "But you know what, nephew? It's all fun and games until they start doing that kind of stuff. They start, beating the crap out of, girls and all that. They talking about, well, I identify as a woman." It's like, but you were biologically a man and you can harm. You see what I'm saying? So that right there, because the whole Ketanji Brown thing is like, I don't know what a woman is. That's because her party is on that bull cocker. They don't want to ruffle the feathers of the trans community, and neither do I. But I think we need to make common sense. If I had a daughter in high school, I wouldn't want no man. I don't care what you got on, a wig, a skirt, whatever. I would not want you in the same locker room with my daughter either. Not saying you're gonna do something nefarious, but I would that I'm a proponent of this too. Give trans people their own sports league, their own locker rooms. Like, if you need to do that, great, but do not, because what happens is when you tell straight people you need to deal with it, the trans people, or you're wrong. And it's like, well, as a straight person, do I have rights? What about me? You're saying now that, you feel like you want to assert this, that, and the other. I don't matter.
Right. And I thought this was a country based on majority rules. I don't think the trans LGBTQ people are big enough to really, formulate and have the majority. But let me ask you a question real quick, Demetra, maybe some of the ladies real quick before we get out of here. What is stopping me from walking into a woman's bathroom and just saying, "Hey, I identify as a woman"? What's stopping me from doing that legally?
Well, there's a lot of states where you can do that. They won't say anything to you for doing it because you have this whole, trans rights thing. And listen, I'm not saying they should not have rights, but I don't think their rights should cancel out our rights. Now, I'm going to tell you like this, Donovan, you as a fully grown Black man walk into a woman's restroom, you probably not going to make it out of there. Or if you do, you probably going to get some type of charge put on you, right? So that's what I said too. It's going to be fun and games to a big, black, hairy, burly brother walk up into one of those women restrooms with a wig on, Ving Rhames style, whatever. And talking about, "I'm here to use the bathroom." You're going to see a whole bunch of white women running out of there, and they're going to change those laws tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So it's for them. It ain't for you. Just know that, okay? So anyway, we love and appreciate you, all of you guys. We will see y'all on Wealth Wednesday with Walter. In the meantime, please enjoy your evening. Donovan, happy birthday once again. Go on and get the big piece of chicken. You deserve it. And get some hot sauce.
I'm not getting the big chair. I am going to support single mothers. I am heading down to the Gentlemen's Club because I love women that much. I'm going to support the single mothers.
Hey, as I always tell people, you might get some on you, just don't get it in you. And on that note, we out of here. Peace. Oh, peace.